Hey NAI football fans, Corey Thorpe here with another edition of the NAIFBall Podcast, powered by AdCraft USA, your custom apparel, merch, and uniform experts. Our friends at AdCraft have been with us for many years now. They've run web stores for us multiple times. These guys are NAI fans and family who are experts in the apparel and merchandise world. AdCraft allows you to take the hassle out of ordering. Let their knowledgeable design and customer service staff handle everything from hosting the store online, shipping the product, and helping your customers so you can get back to the game. Find them online at adcraftusa.com. All right, NAI football fans, this is Corey Thorpe back with another edition of the NAIFBall Podcast, powered by AdCraft Custom Apparel and Merch. You hear me talk about them every week. They're the best. But tonight, man, do we have a treat for you. Marian's new old head coach, Ted Karras Jr., technically entering his first year of coaching Marian, but it's his second stint. Coach Karras, if for those who are unaware with Marian football history, was there for the genesis of Marian football in 2007 and won Marian's red banner that you can see behind me there on the St. Vincent field there. Coach, how are you doing tonight?
Doing good, Corey. Thanks for having me on. Actually, just got back from practice number 5 in the spring. It was a good, lively day.
Very nice. So I did want to ask, does it feel weird coming back full circle now?
Yeah, a little bit. Absolutely. In my career, I thought I'd never ever go back to a place I coached before because I truly like the adventure of coaching and going different places. And I did a lot, man. I went all over the Midwest, different states from Minnesota, Ohio, Illinois, Indiana, and enjoyed that journey. And but for some reason, things happened, and all of a sudden I'm back. So, and it's like going back to the future also, and the fact that, when they started football, not everyone wanted football at Sleepy Marian University. It was a school that needed to increase campus vibrancy. Man, have they done that? And football gave the school confidence to do that. And to see the growth since I've been back, 10 years, the med school's complete, unbelievable. Engineering school getting built, 5 new dorms. So the confidence that football gave the school led for them to even think, to do bigger things, and guided by our president, Dan Elsner, who was always a visionary for what he wanted the school to be. A great American Catholic university, a great American city. And, we're growing by leaps and bounds. And it's a little weird. It's fun. It's like, a little bit like Welcome Back, Kotter too. I sing that song in my head, names have all changed since you've been, but it's cool. The guys are working hard, and so far so good.
Did you get back your old office and that you had in 2012, and you're stepping in going, this is weird, I just packed up this thing?
Yeah, no, I actually, and I like to speak about the offices. I was in a basement of what was called Clare Hall, and it flooded regularly when it rained on the west side of Indy. And literally I had recruits, I just couldn't take them down to the office. So now I'm in a different office, but it's still the basement of Oldenburg Hall now. It doesn't flood, but it's a nice office. And it's cool. It's interesting, and it's fun. It's been fun.
So one of the things that I had noticed and I had heard, and I just want to kind of get your thoughts on is, well, you coached for a rival last year, and I'm trying to wrap my head around it. You coached for St. Francis of Indiana. The closest thing that I can think of that I could liken it to is Mark Richt going from being a player at Miami to being the offensive coordinator at Florida State. But did it feel a little weird coaching for a rival of a team where you had so much success?
Well, I want to thank Kevin Donnelly for giving me the opportunity to get back in the business. So there's more to it just from coaching, as a rival. I was out for 5 years and watching my son play in the NFL. I had an opportunity after I left Marian go to Walsh University, and then I was out of the business, and I didn't mind being out for 5 years. Worked for NCSA, Next College Student Athlete, and it was great in the fact that I could have flexibility to watch my son on the Patriots, no less, which was a great education. To go to a Bill Belichick practice, see his notes. So I was out, and then I was out, and I was itching, and ready to get back in. And Adam Sherman, who coaches me in Marian, was recently hired on, and they gave me the opportunity to go up. Now I patterned, Kevin Dowling was always gracious to me in the fact when I started Marian, I took the team. We actually started in 06. We were playing that season. We had like 50 guys, and we went up and watched the St. Francis game. And then the opportunity just to coach with him, and learn from him. He's also, all-time winningest coach in college football. He built a great program. Yeah, it was unbelievable. And I drove, 100. I still live in Indy, so I never really moved. Even when I went to Ohio, rented. Coaches, you have to rent sometimes with the movement. But yeah, no, I drove 110 miles, went up there daily, and helped the Cougars. Yeah, it was interesting, great experience. I'm very thankful for it.
I mean, Kevin Donnelly is definitely the NAI GOAT. I mean, the dude's top 10, top 5 in wins all time. You're sitting there amongst names like Bear Bryant and Amos Alonzo Stagg and Joe Paterno and Bobby Bowden, and you're like, dang, this is for real. So it doesn't matter what happens to St. Francis, whether they do good or bad. That man has cemented his legacy, and he deserves all the respect.
All the respect, and I respect him and love him, man. We had a great, 8 months together up there. Learned a lot from him, just how he deals with the whole organization and people, and not to mention his coaching. And yeah, he is the GOAT.
You had mentioned your son played for the Patriots, now with the Bengals, and you've been able to, take in some Bill Belichick practices. I bet that was absolutely a blast. But I mean, it's not like you hadn't grown up around the game. I mean, you're a lifer at this. I mean, your family is just steeped in football. For those at home who don't know, I'm just going to go run through them real quick. You played 1 year for the Skins in the mid-'80s. Your uncle, Lou, played 2 years for the Skins. Your other uncle, Alex, played 10 years for the Lions. He's a college football Hall of Famer, an NFL Hall of Famer, and he also played in some movie called Blazing Saddles. And
amongst others, yes.
Amongst others. I texted my dad about it, and I'm like going, hey, you know any of these Karrases? He went, dude, Alex Karras was an absolute dude. He said, I heard he was a softie off the field, but you wanted no part of Alex Karras on the field. That dude was a dude. Your dad played for 8 years among 4 teams and was part of the 1963 NFL championship team. I think that's before they started calling it the Super Bowl, but And then, of course, your son has spent 7 years among 4 teams and has 2 championship rings to go along with it. So talk to me about growing up in football and how that was. What was that like growing up?
Well, let's start by the Karras brothers that grew up in Gary, Indiana. The sons of 6 kids in the family. One, my Aunt Nan, but 5 boys. Steeltown, Gary, Indiana. Immigrant Greek, was a doctor. My grandma, immigrant from Canada, was a nurse. But my grandfather died when my dad was 12, 48 years old. So the impetus, football was, they loved it, but they knew that they had to play football to get a scholarship to go to college. If not, they're going to work in the mills. Not that that's a bad thing, but they didn't really want to do that. So they really, got good at football. And they had a great high school coach named Art Rolfe, Emerson High School, Gary, Indiana. And all of them went on to the Big Ten. and 7 of us ended up playing in the Big Ten and 5 in the NFL, which you just mentioned. And yeah, my dad, my son, and I each, got a ring from the teams that we were on and played for coaches like Belichick, Hallis, and Gibbs. Football was, like I said, a means to get an education, but it was just awesome growing up in it. The knowledge, the stories I would hear, especially in the old days of football in the 60s and 70s, way different than now. And then getting to hear my son tell the stories now of Coach Belichick and Coach Taylor, and getting to meet a lot of the characters, in this game, my son, Tom Brady to Fitzmagic, to Joe Burrow. I got to play pig with Joe Burrow last year, Memorial Day. It's fun, competitive, and he won the whole thing. But it's been a heck of a journey. It's been really fun.
I can imagine with Joe Burrow that dude is competitive almost to a fault. Is what I hear.
Well, he is, and I love that about him. That's why he's so great, because, and we are too. The Karras family is too. So we always, when Ted got to the Bengals, they invited some guys over, and Joe Burrow was one of them. We had about 10 guys. I was the cook, barbecued up some chicken and some sausages. But at the end of the meal, Ted has a full court there in Cincinnati, and we're going to play pig. 6 of us, and we split up the courts to begin. But the finals were me, Burrow, one of Joe Bocce's friends, and Joe Burrow ended up winning by connecting on like 4 really deep threes that just knocked all of us out, and he just won. I saw him a couple weeks later at the Bengals practice. I said, Joe, I want a rematch. And he looked at me and said, only if you want to lose, coach. Boom, just got me. So, yeah, he's the ultimate competitor. Something else.
The very best are. I mean, if you're not a competitor, you're not going to last a whole lot of time in the league. It's just going to, if you're not competitive, it's going to chew you up and spit you out.
Absolutely.
So let's take a look at your team. Last year, you have a great year. You have a good year. I mean, 9-2 for Marian standards. It's good. There's about half the NAI that would kill for 9-2. You start off really well against Madonna. You have good games against St. Francis, which was an absolutely fun game. You take the loss against Indiana Wesleyan, a 7-pointer at home. Come back and you beat St. Francis. It seems odd beating yourself, but okay, we'll go with it. Talk to me about that gauntlet. I mean, it gets it doesn't get any easier next year. You still have to face IWU, St. Francis, Concordia, Siena Heights. I swear they put them in a row every year, and I don't know what sort of perverse person does these schedules, but here we are.
Well, that's the MSFA, baby. It's one of the best leagues in the NAI, we get, and we set a standard back at Marian, and that's, I joke around. I say, let's create a monster, for all sports. That's the goal. And, if you fall short, it is what it is. But yeah, there's good years. They had a solid good year. Absolutely. But football's a what have you done for me lately business. It doesn't mean really anything. Now to us, we're in spring ball, new group, guys moved on, new guys stepping up in the leadership roles. And, we have some experienced guys back, which is great. We got a big recruiting class coming in, and everything's up for competition. And so, yeah, I mean, it's a tough league. I heard you on one of your previous podcasts, Coach Curry, about, the shakeups in the league, too, as far as going to the West. I think we're a candidate, and so is St. Francis. So we're going to find that out on May 8th. So, yeah, it's just a tough league. It's that's why, a lot of the winners of the league went on to win it all.
Absolutely. And I do think that y'all are a good candidate to go to the West. It works geographically, and honestly, I think that if I'm Olivet Nazarene, if I'm St. Xavier, if I'm St. Francis of Illinois, I do not want any part of Marian coming to the West. I'm rooting for. I'm if it's choice between the two of you, I'm gonna take St. Francis. If I'm them, having back-to-back meh years, not that they couldn't come back and be amazing at any point. I mean, they're still churning out all conference talent like it's nothing. But I think that gives you a good position if the decision is Marian to the west. I think that gives you a good position to breathe just a skosh easier about your road to the playoffs.
No breathing easier in this business, whether it's the West or East, Corey. I ain't breathing easy on anything.
I hear.
So I respect both sides of the league. I get it. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see here May 8th. I think there will be a decision made for 2024 how we're going to go.
Let's take a look at your team. You've got a lot of folks coming back. The core of Marian the last few years has absolutely been the running game, the offensive line. Smash them, grind them into pieces. Whether it's Baron Hubler, Christian Hunter, or the 3 or 4 other guys since we started this that have been absolute monsters at running back, and that monstrous offensive line. You're bringing back Hubler, you're bringing back Hunter, you're bringing back Cibula, you're bringing back Jones, you're bringing back Byerly at your tight end position to create that leverage, and on top of that, you're bringing back a quarterback that is a 2,400-yard passer, 66% passer, 9.5 yards per attempt, which is, heck, that'll work. Talk to me about your offense. Are y'all planning on changing styles? Are you planning on doing anything different, or are you still going to plan on grinding people into powder?
That's a great question. Well, Coach BJ Coates taking over the offense. He's on his second stint, but he was here last year too. And we're going to do a lot of the same things. No, they've had some success. When I came into this, I was not just going to be a guy, have to do this, do that. I observed and talked and talked with the players and some of the things. Yeah, if there's going to be some new wrinkles though, absolutely. And giving the quarterback some more autonomy to do some things. I'm really happy to have all those guys back. Zach Bundle was elected as spring captain. Cibula was. Baron Hubler was. And Drew Byerly was, offensively. So that's good to have that. I don't know how much they've led before, but they're going to lead now as they're getting older in the program and they have good experience. It's been fun to coach them so far.
Defensively, you've got a lot coming back too, whether it be Dion Pettiford, Jake Paris, Jay Sean Underwood, Nate Fry. It seems like at every level of your defense, you've got an all-conference guy coming back. And, your defense has always been a strength of Marian, helping to play complementary football to that run game. It's very hard to win if you don't have the ball. It's very hard to win if you're not on the field. So talk to me about your defense and where you're going with that.
Sure. You mentioned some more captains there. Pettiford elected captain. Fry elected a captain. Clay Campbell's a newcomer to that. Jake Paris is coming back from an injury. But, no, you're right. Got to have a good defense. Marian's always had a pretty darn good defense. There's been some changes in the coaching staff. Justin Robinson's coming in from UT Martin. Coach Steve Tutsi, who's coached here before, is also hired in the defensive staff. And we have a good group of guys that maybe weren't coming back, are coming back also now. And they've had a really good spring so far. Had some takeaways today, numerous sacks, as I was the ref today in today's scrimmage. So, and we're not going live on the quarterback, even though I haven't passed. But no, those guys have been good. They've been providing some good leadership, and they're going to be our base of our defense exactly on each level.
Yeah, there's no sense in whacking your quarterback around with that. You mentioned it before. You're bringing in some new folks, and you've got a good mix of old folks that have been around Marian, BJ Code being one of them. But whether it be Justin Robinson at your DC or Steve Tutsi as your special teams coordinator, Jaquan Patia, Sean Wilson, all those guys there. Daryl Hankins, Leotis Moore. You got a lot of new faces. What's the feeling like around the players? We getting some gelling and doing it, or is it a little bit of a learning process still for these guys?
Oh no, I think we're gelling. I mean, that was over the winter too. And you mentioned guys like Patilla, one of the original Marian players, one of the all-time greats here. Darrell Hankins, also D-line. Sean Wilson, coach of the first stint. But having to bring back some former players is really cool. But no, that is one of the challenges. Not only to get to know the team, but also as a staff, we haven't coached together, before, all of us, And but I think it's gone great so far. But no, that's definitely a challenge. But no, the players are gelling. They're excited. We do, practice has been good, enthusiastic, and we want to keep that rolling.
One of I guess the big news this week, it'll be last week by the time this comes out, but the big news this week where we're doing this is the NAI is losing another program. This time it's again from the North Star. And it makes me think. We've got two programs that we're losing for 2023, and we've got one that's going to an online only, so that ends the football program. And I know that it's a really tough time for small colleges with COVID and what online learning does, and the number of institutions of higher learning is in the middle of a decade long downward trend. What's the importance of athletics within the greater institutional picture, and how do we make sure that we lose as few teams from the NAI as possible?
Yeah, that comes, though, from an administrative front. And I'll tell you why Marian University started football, to go along with your questions, for three reasons. One was increased enrollment, especially male enrollment, their nursing school, campus vibrancy, and exposure. So athletics is huge at all these schools, especially from an enrollment standpoint. And then if you have winning teams, it just adds to the greater good of the community, and more people get on board and invest. But, that's why I commend Marian and President Elsner for his vision of where he wanted to take it, because they did not stay stagnant. They started football, they started other things. Now, I mean, can't believe it's a lot more sports than when I was here too. We got to get some more fields going. But no, it's super important to all these schools. But then the university and the administration also has to build the infrastructure around, athletics, and also keep their recruiting up too. But from a recruitment level and student body, it takes up a lot of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's huge, and it kills me every time to see the school go under. And there's been 3 in my time that have actually gone like under. I know we've had one move to online only, but whether it be presentation, whether it be Cincinnati Christian, and now this one here in Iowa Wesleyan, it kills me every time, because those are kids who are now going to be looking for a home, and I almost feel sorry for the head coach, because he's going down with the ship. He's going to be the last one out to turn out the lights on the program.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I totally agree. Have you ever been to Iowa Wesleyan?
I have not.
NAI travels?
I haven't. I mean, it's one of those places that it's so important in football lore. I mean, that was the birthplace of the air raid. That was Hal Mummy. That's where the pirate got his start. That's such a big place in football, and to see the death of that, it is a loss to the game of football.
Agreed.
Well, Coach, the one thing I'm asking pretty much everybody is if you're not improving, you're falling behind. That's the way it is for everybody. It doesn't matter if it's on the football field or it's in your everyday life. Life's just like that. So what's kind of y'all's focus this year to really fight back against that? What area of your program, on or off the field, are y'all really seeking to improve on in 2023?
Well, coming in new, I mean, I'm looking at everything. I'm just looking at how things have been run. You know, I just got done with 3 months, but here's what we do. We go hard every day. We live in the moment and let the chips fall where they may. And if you do that every day of your life, you'll feel good at the end of the day. And we went hard today at practice. We've been going good in meetings. You know, I've been observing guys, seniors step up and leaders. You know, it's been interesting and all of that kind of stuff and all the things, you know, outside the field that go on. And that's kind of my philosophy. I don't have any one specific thing. I'm looking at the whole program, especially just in this time frame.
I mean, it is. I mean, it's a great time to do it, to re-examine everything, to rethink everything. Is with a change of this nature, it's everything is up for grabs, and you have definitely mentioned that. And hey, we're looking forward to another great year of football, especially in the Mideast of the MSFA. I mean, it's a absolute grind of the best kind every year, and we're really looking to see who's going to come out on top. Even if y'all go over to the Midwest, it's still going to be absolutely fun. You know, you've got some great schools over there that are going to challenge and push, and it's going to be a really interesting year, however you slice it.
Totally agree, man. That's what's the great thing about football. There's a season, there's a beginning, there's an end, there's an off season, and it's going to be an exciting 2023.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the NAIAFBALL Podcast presented by AdCraft USA. Be sure to contact them for all your custom apparel, merch, and uniform needs. If you enjoy the show, subscribe to the podcast as well as to our YouTube channel. Leave us a review if you're listening on Apple Podcasts. As always, if you'd like to support what we do, head over to patreon.com/NAIAFBALL and become a patron. We can't do what we do without our sponsors and listeners like you.